Welcome, everyone. Good morning. We are here as Merging Waters Unitarian Universalist Congregation, meeting in this building where we are being welcomed by the United Church of Christ, New Brighton. Doesn't it feel good? I am so excited to be with you as your minister this morning. Also new to being with you all. If you haven't met me yet, I'm the Reverend Krista Weber Huang. And this morning we have two other ministers with us, the ministers from the United Church of Christ, New Brighton, who have graciously offered to open with their opening words from their service this morning. So I will pass it off and let them introduce themselves as well.
I'm Pastor Wendy.
And I am Pastor Amy.
And we are so glad this day has finally come, that contracts are signed, that conversations are fruitful, and that you have arrived. I also want to lift up another person from our team, our exploratory team. Margaret Oettinger is also here, so she's going to stay and worship with you. And we are just so glad to see you here. Do you feel the
Yeah.
okay, good. Well, when we were here, when you had another meeting here, I shared the words of welcome that I shared in worship that morning when we were here, and I'd like to do that again today. Welcome each of you. No matter what you look like or what you wear, who you know or don't know, no matter what mistakes you have made in the past or are bound to make in the future, where you were born or where you live now, no matter where you work or if you don't work at all, how many children you have or if you don't have any children, no matter if you have faith to move mountains or have faith the size of a mustard seed, what your body can do or can't do, no matter where you are on the journey of life or faith, you are welcome here. And because you showed up, this body is whole and perfect. So I hope those words linger in the space as you come together. I hope those words of welcome linger in our relationship as we build it. I hope the fruits of our relationship extend a welcome into the world we can't even imagine right now. Bless you all. We're so grateful you're here. Thank you.
Marianne Williamson says, "Love is what we are born with. Fear is what we learn. The spiritual journey is the unlearning of fear and prejudice and the acceptance of love back into our hearts." This congregation has chosen three incredible values to be at the core of your mission. We've talked about two of them the last couple of weeks, and this week we talk about courageous love. Courageous love calls us to become something more than we are now, to be in deep relationship with one another, as well as to hear our own inner voice. Part of why I was so excited to come to this congregation is hearing the stories of how you all have lived out courageous love and the choices you've made about what it means to be part of Merging Waters Unitarian Universalist Congregation. For years, you had had conversations about whether your old building fit the needs of this congregation. You took the time to listen to one another, to speak the truths on your hearts, and to make a decision grounded in courageous love to sell your building. If that is not a leap of faith, not knowing where you're going next, I don't know what is. It inspired me to come to this place, knowing that when you say courageous love is at the center of who we are, you're willing to live it out. I wasn't here, but I watched a number of the recordings of the conversations you had on changing your name. When I first explored coming here to be with you all, your name was Michael Servetus, Unitarian Society. And you had deep conversations. I watched you speak from your hearts. Speak of what that name meant for those who chose it. Speak of what the new name, Merging Waters UU Congregation, means to those who are deeply invested in the spiritual journey it calls us towards. And I want to lift up today the courageous love of this congregation in being willing to speak those truths and being willing to listen to one another, to truly listen and hear each other, and not try to change one another's minds, but to hold those feelings and honor them as true and important. And some of you were involved in the courageous love conversations that brought us into this space here. You're all involved in them over the years, exploring multiple different ways of being and talking about what worked and what didn't work, and what vision you have for this congregation. What is important to live out courageous love? And what I heard is we want a space with room for others to come in, with room for others to learn what it means to live in courageous love. A place where we can invite other people to join us. A place where we can make accommodations for those who have different abilities in their bodies. A place where we can gather in fellowship. A place where we feel welcome and can share the values of the congregation that holds this space and owns it and meets here earlier in the morning. I got to be part of a conversation around creating a covenant. So we had lots of conversations about a legal contract and wordsmithing that, as we are wont to do as Unitarian Universalists. But more important than those conversations were the conversations we had about how we want to be with one another as individuals and as congregations. And together, a covenant was formed for us to begin those conversations with. And the beautiful thing about covenants and about our faith and UCC's faith is that we are living faiths. Nothing is written in stone, but we learn and we grow and we change. So I want to share that behavioral covenant with you right now. I'm going to read through it quickly. You won't catch very much of it, and that's okay. It'll be printed in the future when we get together and do joint events, so we can review it together and see how it feels and how we want to reflect on using courageous love in showing up with who we are authentically and being able to listen and hold the values that may be a little different or maybe more similar than we realized of the new folks who we are sharing space with at the UCC New Brighton. But before I read it, I'd like to acknowledge the folks in this room who helped create it, both from our congregation and from UCC New Brighton. So if you are any part of those conversations, please rise and embody so we can recognize you. We have Brian and Jen and Liz and Lori, and our wonderful Margaret is here representing our UCC New Brighton. Can we have a round of applause for all the incredible work? Thank you all. Those folks made up the shared space committee that brought us to this place on this morning and for the next few years that we'll be spending here together. So the behavioral covenant is one of my screens. It's written, "The purpose of this covenant will help guide the relationship between the United Church of Christ in New Brighton and Merging Waters Unitarian Universalist Covenant congregation." There's 3 parts. First is the personal behavior and communication. So we want to speak and act with kindness and express gratitude. We want to encourage discussion and maintain an atmosphere where people feel safe to express alternative perspectives and ideas. We want to listen to one another with attention, curiosity, and mutual respect, seeking understanding. We want to believe the best of each other and give each other the benefit of the doubt, assuming positive intentions. We want to treat one another with inherent worth and dignity. There's behavior around conflict. I'm going to read the first part of it, and we'll lean into the second part of it, which is more about how do we do that. But the first part says, accept that disagreement and conflict are natural and normal. We don't expect that this new relationship is going to always be easy. But we encourage each other to reframe disagreement and conflict as opportunities for learning and for growth. And I'll skip down to the last section, which is behavior regarding building space and furnishing. So we want to honor and follow the established processes and procedures for the use of the building, such as scheduling space and events. So as we are scheduling new events in this space, please reach out to either myself or Colleen to make sure that we can put you in a room that's available and that there aren't conflicts going on. So we try to minimize the ways in which we bump into each other. We want to respect the use of designated spaces of each congregation. So we have 2 rooms downstairs that are designated as ours, 10 and 11, and the office space up here and the minister's offices are designated specifically as spaces for UCC New Brighton. And we want to all be good stewards of our physical resources and tread lightly on the space and its furnishings, which is something that I'm working with my 6-year-old on how to do right now. So we all continue to learn these lessons throughout our lives and figure them out in new ways. So courageous love is more than just a feeling. It's how we live in the world. It's how we are together with one another. And having guidelines, having ways of understanding how we can be respectful of each other and how we can go into deeper conversations with a sense of being held and respected for who we are is important to living out our faith and our values. So that is my bit of preachiness for the morning. And I want to leave you with one last quote from Valerie Kaur, K-A-U-R. Does anyone know how to say that? No, I'm going to look it up later. She says, "Love is more than a feeling. Love is a form of sweet labor, fierce, bloody, imperfect, and life-giving, a choice we make over and over again. If love is sweet labor, love can be taught, modeled, and practiced. This labor engages all our emotions. Joy is the gift of love. Grief is the price of love. Anger protects that which is loved. And when we think we have reached our limit, wonder is the act that returns us to love. So as we experience all of those emotions in the coming days and weeks and months, getting to know each other and this space, remember to look for the love behind the emotions. I have closing words from someone else, but I think I want to speak from my heart for a moment. We have come together in this space to worship for the first time this morning. And I don't know about you, but I feel a great joy in my heart. Let us remember this moment and this hope and excitement in the days and weeks to come as we engage in this journey of courageous love, invited into this space to share in the fellowship of being and becoming more human with deeper faith and deeper love. Amen. Blessed be. Shalom. Salam. Namaste.